Shio Nigadawu Nuidai Dagodo Anigilohi Digi Yawi Shiki Duwagi Nole Galshkishki. Hello everybody. You may be wondering what I'm doing standing in front of this white screen. I just did a self-tape, an audition, so fingers crossed. But I thought while I had the setup and the makeup on that I would go ahead and record a little video. One thing that I've been trying to do is share what I have learned throughout this journey of life. Some of you may or may not know, but I was in a strategic planning program called Strategic Planning for Creative Disruptors. It was in June, so a little bit before summer solstice, and now a little bit before summer solstice. Now a little bit before winter solstice. We're about to have our 6-month check-in. And I also did a check-in with myself. Something that I learned through the strategic planning process was really about specificity. I won't go into all the whole strategic plan. Don't worry, I'm not going to read that. But one of the most important things was about specificity. Specificity in what I wanted to do, with whom, how we were going to do it, where, how much. And I realized that that would mean that I had to do a lot of changing. And changing sounds so easy, or did to me, like, oh, if this is not working, just change it, especially if there was nothing in the way, right? No, like if it wasn't a change that had to do with money or getting all of these things, if it was a change supposedly simple that I could do. But this change process has been a lot of work, and it has been it began to cause a lot of stress in my life. And so something that I was dealing with, also full disclosure, I have CPTSD, which is complex PTSD or compound, depending on who you talk to. I also have OCD, and I am ADHD, surprise, surprise. So I will not be standing still, I will be fidgeting during this whole video. Anyway, so those things are forever present in my life, but as especially with the CPTSD, there's times when things get worse or better, and it was getting out of control. So I was having a lot of problems, digestive problems, hair issues, nail issues, skin eruptions, thoughts going out of control, hard to complete actions, hard to concentrate more than usual for my ADHD self, hard difficulty paying attention more than usual, stress. My energy level was affected, like body aches, inability to see a new way of doing things. So kind of stuck in fight or flight survival syndrome, old thoughts, inability to sleep, fatigue, nausea, breathing issues. I think we're back at the beginning. And I made this little drawing of a sad little blue person in the middle. Yeah, it makes me sad to look at it. But the point is that it wasn't one thing. It was like if I was tired, then I had a clouded mind. And if my mind was tired and full of clouds, then old thoughts that were not useful, easy to get in there. And if I'm tired, then my body aches. And, but then another thing, if my skin erupts, then I feel sad. And, if I'm feeling sad, then it's hard to pay attention, so on and so forth. So all of these things were affecting one of the other things, like a circle. And so I thought, how do I get out of this? How do I start to heal? And something that I learned was, okay, well, if there isn't exactly a starting point to that circle. I mean, it doesn't matter. Anywhere I start is a starting point. So I thought, okay, well, what are the things that make me feel balanced, whole, uplifted. I have a little drawing of a kind of centered person in the middle where strength is coming inward and then going outward at the same time. You know, it's a kind of balance of the concentration going inwards and then your arms and limbs stretching outwards. And I use that picture because when one is, you know, you can't see my feet, but when one is balancing, you're stretching, right? You're trying to stretch, but you're also engaging the core and bringing everything in. So it's in and out at the same time in a balance. And so I looked at this picture and then started thinking. So I thought, okay, what's one way that I can address some of those issues? And I came up with this kind of list of things. Celebrate and recognize my improvements as if I were a child. And I always think about that because, for example, at least for me, if a child is trying to do something and they can't do it and they try and they do it, you know, I say, good job. I said, you kept on trying. And I try to make sure I say that to adults too, because it's kind of crappy if we only say that to children, right? And then once you get 18, you're like, oh, forget it. You're on your own, you know. But I remember it was during COVID times and I was in a park because I would do my training in parks sometimes because there was nowhere else. And I was on this, it was like a machine that you have to hold the bars, and if you rock forward, you can make the machine, it's like a toy, but you can make it go in circles. And I couldn't figure out how to use it. And this little boy was there, he was like 5 or 6, and his mother was with him, and he says, I can show you. And he got up there on the machine and he showed me. And he said, you try. And so I did. I tried and I finally got it. And this little boy, he said, yes. And he was so happy for me. And I told his mother, I was like, oh my gosh, your child is like a coach. Like they're uplifting people already. And she said, yeah, he's always been that way. But I thought that little boy was a role model of how we can be with one another, but I thought I must be that way with myself. Saying good things to self. Once again, it's made fun of a lot of time in the US, I think. If we mess up and say, oh, you idiot, that's normal. But if I make a good breakfast and I say, that was delicious, you did such a good job, it seems almost strange. And I thought, ooh, that's sad. So I'm gonna try to remember to say good things to myself. Cheer for oneself. So once again, I try to channel that little boy, because if I was doing you can't see my legs, but I'm doing a balance, and now I'm gonna do a small arabesque, right? Okay, so if I'm doing that, afterwards, I need to say, good job, Mora. Good job, Nuidai. Ostach natang. Begadageyu sesti. All right, so that one means, it's one of our teachings in Cherokee. I will paraphrase, but I'll tell a story that Doju Wachigesa told me. He said, you know, if you have a mare, I believe that's what you call a mother horse, and she's got her colt with her baby. If a human being passes by, that mare puts herself in front of the colt. And it's just like a protective gesture. And so the way I was explained is that is how we are to be with one another. Other explanations are that we are not to let one another, we're not to let anyone wear themselves out. And so I thought, yes, and I also have to be that way with myself. You know, I have to be protective with myself. So that's something to think about. I very easily feel that way about other people, especially my family or loved ones. But I thought, okay, but who's doing that? And they can do that for me too, but I also need to do that for me. We're always to be uplifting one another. I have to do that with myself. Another thing, this is a lot about self-talk, but another thing is to be a coach, a good coach, I should say that. Nobody wants a bad coach who doesn't play you and says mean things, but be a good coach to oneself. So saying things like, you got this is easy, piece of cake, sounds weird, maybe to some people, maybe not, I don't know. But the idea always sounded great to me, but I wasn't doing it. So I actually started making myself both think and say, because these are two voices that don't always align. As we know, people who speak and their intention and their mind is completely different. But actually making sure the inside voice and the outside voice were saying, you've got this. This is easy. Piece of cake. Especially, this was during movements that I would be doing in training, dance movements, or even if I was doing like an audition or submitting a grant or doing something difficult, to say that to myself. The thing that I was doing, I've been noticing that it's still hard. It's not doesn't, but I can do it and I get through it as opposed to falling over. Because I'm saying this myself, you've got this. This is a piece of cake. This is easy. Also, recognizing that I am enough. That phrase is out there and it's a beautiful phrase. But for me, sometimes I'm like, yeah, that's right. And I tell that to other people, but what does that mean in action? Part of that is what I have done is enough. Now, for people like me, this is important. I recognize everyone lives a different way on this world, but I'm always doing a lot of things. I have a tendency to overwork. And so for me, it's very important for me to realize that what I have done is enough. Like if I'm doing follow-up, for example, on pitches or anything, I don't need to do 10 follow-ups. Maybe I just need to do 2. That's enough, and just sit and wait, because sometimes the universe is doing these things and it's almost like pressing the button, on an old computer. If you do that, it's gonna freeze up. I just needed to press it once, maybe twice, and then give it some time. So reminding that I am enough, I have done enough, and if I try to do too much, sometimes I get in the way of the blessings that are coming to me. I'll piggyback on that is do less. And we're back, I think. Yeah. Oh no, almost. Okay. Do less. Do one thing at a time, decrease multitasking. Once again, sometimes we have to multitask, but sometimes we don't. I realized that when I was cooking, for example, I don't need to check my email. I could just cook, or I could just eat. And I've made a video about this before, because after I got injured, that was easy. Like my mind and everything was much slower. But once I got healed, those old ways sneak back in. And so I had to reteach myself, oh, actually, if I'm eating, I can just eat. That's it. Doi ditlan. Here, no water iusti. Outside is like medicine. And once again, this is for me. I don't know if this is for everybody, but the 4 medicines, naole ama agil, naole gadohi, earth and water, fire, air, they are in my body. However, if I go outside, it's much easier to access those powers in a more open way. And so I've been trying to treat going outside, I take it away from any training requirements. So I don't be like, it's not like I have to be outside and go running, for 30 minutes. It's not about that. It's not even about moving. I've been trying to treat being outside as a pill. And what I mean is, for example, if I had, I don't know, blood pressure medicine, or if I was taking anxiety medicine or any kind of medicine. I luckily have no medications. Maybe I should, but I don't. I would have to take that every day. It wouldn't be a part of exercise, or even, it would be more kind of like a part of nutrition and survival. And I've tried to start thinking of going outside like that it is not negotiable. And I'm lucky enough that I'm in a place where I can go outside. I'm lucky enough that my time is flexible, that I can go outside. So I've been trying to make sure I have at least like 20 minutes outside, 20 minutes back to back outside. Doesn't even matter what I'm doing. Oh, this is the last one. To listen to Atawe, or listen to the spirits, good spirits, speaking in all ways in the body, as if I were and they were the attendants of queens, or a queen. So maybe that doesn't make any sense, but I guess I'll try to explain. Let's say I was a queen, or a goddess, and I have these attendants. They're the of my body and my spirit and my mind, and they are there to make sure that I want for nothing. And so when anything is amiss, if I'm tired, they will bring me a satin pillow. If I'm hungry, they will bring me healthy food. If I'm worried, they will bring me someone to talk to. And I thought, okay, well, unfortunately, though I can view myself as a queen or goddess, I don't have necessarily those physical people doing those things. And I don't even know if I would like that. I might feel weird. But I do have myself, and built in my body are those kind of indicators. Oh, my finger is hurting. Have I been typing too long? I can't think straight. Am I tired? I'm feeling really mad. Have I not spoken my truth? If those reminders were attendants, they would be bringing me things or helping me to do things. And so those inner body reminders, I need to listen to them and attend to myself as if I were a queen. I hope that makes sense. And so now I'm going to stop talking. I'm tired of talking. But I hope something that I said today is of use to you. And I'll talk to you later. Mwah! The dog stays tasty.